newspaper. We're interacting with readers of a standard newspaper across the country. So we go to Kakamega now and hear from our readers what they have to say about the new look of the standard newspaper.
Nimeangalia gazeti ya leo, ni gazeti mzuri, ni gazeti yenye venye wamemodify sasa, at least si kama venye ilikuwa hapo nyuma. Nikiangalia kala ya green najua ni sports, nikiangalia ya red najua ni politics. At least gazeti iko sawa kabisa, naweza soma mambo yangu vizuri, naweza pata at least knowledge vizuri kuhusu mambo venye nchi inaendelea na venye wana michezo wanacheza.
Kulingana na ile dimaji mpya la gazeti la standard limetolewa, iko sawa kabisa. Zile yaliomo ni kitu rahisi sana kwa mtu yeyote, msomaji yeyote wa gazeti kusoma na kuielewa vizuri.
Ukiangalia gazeti unaiangalia vizuri, kusoma ni rahisi sana. Roselyne, Obala, I'd just like to get your sentiments, your feedback from the sentiments of Kakamega residents, because we've made it easier even for readers to access the sections that they want to read.
Actually, Brenda, this is a very good feedback from our readers, because if you look at the font size and even the infographics that we have now in this paper, then it attracts readers. Remember, this is a moving economy. People are busy with what they want to do. But if you have fonts that actually attract the readers, then it makes them buy the paper as they are on the move. You can actually read the paper when you're driving, in the bus. When you're in the office, you can quickly flip through the paper and see actually which are the sections you want to read. And I'm very happy that they are able to even segment and say that when you want politics, the green color actually takes you there, and it's quite attracting to read. And also, if you want politics, you know that the red color actually takes you to the political side. So for us, these are real-time feedback, and this is just now to bring our readers on board. And even if you look at our paper, we have actually gone back to the long reads, and that is where now the digital platform comes in, so that when you read the paper, you can actually go to the digital platform and get more of that information that you want, as opposed to reading long reads when you're also busy, you want to do other things. So the paper can actually tell you this is what is happening, but you can use your phone anywhere you are to actually access also our digital platform. Yeah.
And Obala, before I bring in Tanui, I know that people who are wondering, so what happens to the quick alerts? Are we getting rid of it? Which is definitely not, because of course we've worked on the newspaper, the great, brilliant minds behind this. We've worked on the newspaper, we've worked on the website. Let's talk about, the alerts. About, anytime we get breaking news or a developing story, we do still have the alerts.
Yes, Brenda, the alerts will be there. This is actually a new agency. We are like a new news agency. And you'll want to get the alerts that will actually take you to either the site or make you look for the newspaper or the TV. And this is where the world is going. Remember, in terms of fake news, disinformation, you need those alerts to actually confirm. If I don't get an alert from Standard, then is it actually credible information I'm getting? So the alert actually tells you this is correct. Then now you can proceed and look at the website and see what do they have, what is the update do they have. And then if you want to read the story deeper, then you have the day 2 story that is in-depth, that will give you all the sides of this story. So we are just giving you various avenues to get the information the way you want, verify it, and say that this story is actually credible. Because the only difference that will make us stand top with the legacy media is that we are able to differentiate ourselves from the citizen journalism that we are having and is cropping now with the new media.
All right. So Tanui, kindly talk to us about the new sections that we've introduced to cater for every reader.
Yeah, before I talk about those sections, I want to draw the attention of our listeners, our viewers, and our teams here, that we have had to rearrange ourselves in a sort of militaristic way in terms of how we execute this strategy. there must be a cultural shift in terms of old journalism and the new journalism. And as we say, there are scholars who tell us that if you don't change the culture, then culture will lead to your strategy for breakfast every day.
Mr. Tanui, I'd like to request that you just hold on to that thought, because I was getting there, jumping the gun too fast. I was getting there in terms of transformation. But just kindly talk to us first about the new sections that have introduced for every reader who gets a hold of this standard newspaper.
Yeah, we have new sections that are human interest stories, features across the week. We love health stories, lifestyle stories sections. We love enhanced sports coverage, weekly investigation stories, and that's where I was coming to actually, that in terms of the arrangement of how we sit in the desk, the architectural layout is actually a reflection of what the themes that we are bringing out. So we consolidated, for example, the business and brought in a new agriculture desk to bring, and we call it economy desk. So they'll be generating content that is specific on enterprise, on agriculture, and on financial issues. And it's enhanced. Then we have a desk called Checkpoint. I wouldn't go to details because I know maybe our competition are trying to get as much as possible. But
we are setting the standards. We are setting the standards.
So that, we have the Checkpoint, which deals with data journalism, data-driven and infographics journalism.
All right.
That's a way of telling the story. We also have Radar, which Obala talked about, breaking news. It's sort of having a panoramic view of the country and telling us what is coming in real time. Because most news breaks out in social media, but there is no verification. Right. You doubt, as you said, Brenda. So we have the Radar desk, and then we have the Echo desk, which is monitoring also the social media and seeing the performance and the comments by our readers and viewers, and telling us this is the area that there is an information vacuum. In the totality of this is we are bringing in this transformation the three aspects of storytelling: audio, text, and video together.
Right.
So you're able to tell. So the new content you are sure that in every issue of the Standard there will be different themes based on your environment. We have a specialized health desk, as you know, and we are the only media house in Kenya that has a qualified doctor leading a desk on. And that's why we've had accolades coming to us through Dr. Mercy Korir on the coverage of COVID, the COVID pandemic. So we have a lot of content, ICT based. So I would not even enumerate the content. What I would promise the readers is interact with our paper, interact with our social media assets, the online platforms, and you'll see for yourself the transformation. It is when you experience it, the user experience, that you'll see there's a transformation.
Right.
And we invite you to enjoy this journey with us. Thank you.
All right. And talking about Dr. Mercy Korir, I'm so sure our readers interacted with her today, I think around within Valley Road, the roundabout that's there, because she was amongst the team that were introducing this paper, the new look of the Standard newspaper to our readers. But then, Mr. Tanui, you bring a very important point in terms of transformation. The world is changing, the media is changing, it's going digital. But what does transformation mean? What does the transformation in newsroom means to the audience? And we're not talking about the audience, you're talking about, the readers and also online audience.
Yeah, as I said, we have to it starts with ourselves appreciating the journey that we need, the road we need to take. And it's taken a lot of research, a lot of surveys to understand the mentality, the interest, and the disposition of the audiences that we have. So we begin by changing our own approach to news, for example. Long ago, you would be told, a politician has made a comment, and when you go to the news editor, they tell you, no, don't talk to the person accused. What will you write tomorrow? So hold on to that until tomorrow. Then we look for so-and-so. For now, everything is bring real time. So we have to move it at speed. And it is now, in the basis of that, and why we are certain that will satisfy our consumers, our readers, is that we have structured our newsroom into a two-speed newsroom. In the unique way that we are running two races at the same time. One is the speed of depth of the story, You don't have to wait until 2 hours to 3 hours to be given a dimension of a story.
Right.
Or implication or analysis. There are people already doing that. Then there is the speed of breaking that story. So we are doing that simultaneously. So this combination of a two-speed newsroom is what Kenyans will have to appreciate from today as we roll out in terms of the intensity of activity on our sites, on our platforms. You are getting the video, you are getting the audio and text at the same time, in real time. Thank you.
All right. And Obala, I mean, this transformation brought in convergence within the standard, the standard group. And within the desk that you had, you have TV, you have radio, you have newspaper. This transformation, what does it mean to you? As you had a team that is supposed to give Kenyans verified and news that will actually change their perspective or give them information that they didn't know about.
Thank you, Brenda. Just as you have indicated it and also Tanui has talked about it, this is a new transformation and now we are sitting in a converged newsroom. In a converged newsroom, and if you look at the transformation even in terms of rendering news, it's about the content. So now for my desk is how to generate this content. Now when you generate this content, then now we have the leadership that sits and decides how do we render this, the content that we have generated to the various platforms. We can have a story that is very good on digital but not as well good on TV. We can have a very good story for print but it is not very good for digital. And that is where now we have the intake desk where now I sit. Now whatever we generate is what now we render to the team that Tanui heads, that is a super desk, where we have the Emmys of the various platforms. So now decide how do we render these stories. So for me where I sit, it's a very interesting desk. We are learning a lot because you also look at how do we render these stories for TV, how do we render these stories for print, and it has also encouraged the reporters in that desk to don't look at themselves from the various platforms that they originally were employed to sit in, but on how best they can render whatever they have to the various platforms.
So it cuts across the board? It
cuts across the board. And if you have been very keen, I think in the previous days you've seen TV reporters actually filing newspaper stories and filing print stories. This is not to say that we want all reporters to be jacks of all trades, but it is where best do you feel you can actually give your optimum, because this converged newsroom is to give you an opportunity to explore all the opportunities you have. Because initially we used to confine ourselves to our cocoon. I came in as a print reporter and that's my primary concern. But now when I look at myself, when I get that content, then I ask myself, so if it was TV, how best will this content go to TV? If it was the newspaper, how best can I do a turnaround and actually pull the readers for the newspaper? So it's actually a very interesting job that we have, and is also debunking the notion that legacy media is on its deathbed, because it is just how do you turn around the content to still attract readers and just ensure that you stay on top.
All right. And I like the fact that, here at the Standard Group, you're trying to feed our audience, different audiences, online, TV, radio, newspaper, with the right information when they need it. But then, Mr. Tanui, we really have to accept that there are challenges, several challenges facing, media right now. You're just trying to keep up with the pace. It's going digital. The world is going digital. But how is the Standard Group adapting to overcome these challenges?
Actually, I want to correct you, Brenda, on a light note. We are not trying, we are doing. There's a difference between...
we are doing fine. We are doing fine. And definitely, I know that we are doing fine. But my question is based on the fact that challenges are there. Media has seen has gone through different challenges during this time of digital. And that is why the Standard Group decided to bring in convergence as a way of trying to reach out to the audience where they are at. And that's why we're even talking about the new look of the digital platform, getting breaking news, developing story at the click of a button through the alerts that we give. But my question is, when we are seeing the challenges that media houses are going through, different media houses are going through, how has the Standard Group managed, to overcome, the challenges that the media has gone through during, the decades, the previous years?
Yeah, the first thing that we ought to appreciate is the environment in which you're operating on. It keeps changing either in terms of the policy framework, which is defined by government through various oversight bodies. Then there is the changing consumer habits of the audiences, like now shifting into these new devices, of the way the news reaches them. And then there is the disruption that is caused by the digital explosion, which by the time you read the paper, you get that a lot has already gone into the public. They already know. So there is even a challenge about the timing of news. Now, like the channel we are on is a 24-hour channel, so it means that at any time you come in, you get news, so you don't have to wait for 9 o'clock unless you want the context. I mean, it is depending on your time and test. So we are adapting ourselves to that, because if, as I said in the beginning, Brenda, if we don't, we'll be left behind by our audiences. So we have to stay ahead of our audiences. And that's why I talked about research, about adaptation to the changing patterns of consumption, availability. We are available on all platforms. And we have one of the strongest digital presence in Kenya. Actually, I think that it's the leading one, as my colleague Carol Kimutai, who leads the digital team, was saying in the Morning Express on this station. We are moving forward in terms of taking the readers and viewers to the next level in terms of content that means a lot to them, that addresses their daily concerns, that give solutions rather than just lamentation about what they are going through. If it is about economic slump, if it's about the COVID situation. Remember when Kenyans were very hesitant even to imagine that their nose could be poked for COVID tests. Our own editor on El Sans came on the screen and went through that agony for the sake of Kenyans, to understand that it is not as painful and traumatizing as people expect. So we intend to be the trailblazers, and that is what the Standard stands for. Right. I keep telling people the Standard came into being in 1902. But it has grown younger and trendier rather than getting older because of adapting to the just like the railway line. I mean, the railway system now, we have SGR, it has taken the railway system 100 years. But the Standard has been always ahead in terms of innovation. It is no secret that most of the products that you see in the market actually started the Standard, but then others adapt. So in terms of television, we've always said we are the house of talent and the house of investigation. Most of the people you see in other stations have a footing.
And at that point, we say we are the pace setters.
We are the pace setters, the trailblazers.
In growth and transformation. All right, so we need to wind up this conversation. So I'll give you 2 minutes each, and let me just get it finally from Mr. Tanui. Actually, I'm being told by my director 2 minutes is a lot, so I need to give you a minute each because we need to continue updating our viewers. But Tanui, probably the other readers, who are wondering, why should we support journalism by paying for content through the paywall?
Yeah, journalism is a very expensive business. There are a lot of restrictions in terms of growth, government policy. You've seen public advertising the budget, which formed 60% of our revenues, constricted. You've seen shifting patterns in terms of the way advertising goes, and we are aligning ourselves with this part of this process. But the most important thing is to see public media as, though private at times, they are doing a public duty. It is the interface between the government and the governed. It is the interface between public good and the contest for the little resources we have. So the media is a very, very important pillar in our democratic process. Right. The New York Times has the motto, "In darkness, democracy dies." What it means that without shedding light on these areas where you have either public corruption or the wastage of public resources, we are the poorer. If we have a very an informed society, they will not be able to make democratic decisions, like in terms of constitutional changes, in terms of how public participation, which is the pillar of our constitution now, in our development processes. So you need the media to shed that light. Or our democracy will twinkle in dark, will dim in darkness.
All right, Obala, your parting shot. I know Mr. Tanui has talked about this, us being the pace setters. Yes. We are setting the agenda for the country, both broadcast-wise and print-wise, you know, and online-wise. But then, you know, with the eye on global, you know, best practice, how is the standard helping to shape, you know, the media and journalism in the country?
Thank you, Brenda. I think what we need to talk that a vibrant media is a true reflection of democracy. And if you look at our constitution, actually free press is actually enshrined in our constitution. And for that, you've seen that the Standard Media Group has continued to set standards for the nation. And that means that to cover credible and impartial information that is deeply investigated and gives the readers, the viewers, all the angles that they expect. Now, that means that you also have to hold the government to account, people to power. Now, when we do that, and what the Standard has been thriving in doing is that is what drives the readers, and that is what drives the viewers to our contents. And we'll strive to do that. We'll strive to build capacity of our journalists, because again, to get that credible information, you must also have journalists who are top-notch. Now, by introducing now this converged newsroom, this is a time that even our journalists will shine, as we also strive to ensure that our content on a daily basis will be improving, and we are open to feedback from the public, because we can't say that currently we are the best, but what we have done is the best, but that feedback will make us excellent.
Will make us excellent. Let me just ask my director, Jacob, just for a minute, if you may allow me. Mr. Tanui, just get a hold of the New Standard newspaper, the new the new baby in town. Over there, on top of it, we are seeing a certain logo. And I'm sure our readers are wondering, what is this? Because the old Standard newspaper never had this logo. Just in a minute, because that logo is there. It's the logo of two Simbas, and these two Simbas are holding the map, the global map, and within that global map, there's the African map. Since 1902, I wasn't born. Talk to us about this logo, please.
Without going to so many technicalities, Brenda, this is called a signe in terms of, it's like an emblem. It's like a wish, it's symbolic of what we do. So like the lion, we are both aggressive. We go for what we want in the best way we can, and we cover Africa for Africa. Actually, if you see it, it's the map of Africa. So it's not just a Kenyan media, it's an African platform. And this goes in the sense, with the sense that we are the first media house to do this kind of business transformation, the first one in East Africa. And the only other media house we know that has done this is the Tiso Black Star in South Africa. So we can say this is symbolic of the aggressiveness with which we want to do, and the inspiration we have. More or less the same like the Kenyan coat of arms, where you have the shield, the lions. So we are saying this is us. So all the attributes you have of the lion, without doubt, boldness, courage. This is us.
It's like we are the king of the jungle within this media industry, giving an in-depth coverage, you know, across the continent, not just, you know, the African continent, but also globally. I'd like to say asante sana to Kipkoech Tanui, the Standard News, Standard Group Head of News, and also Roselyne Obala, our political desk editor. Gentleman and lady, asanteni sana for joining us this morning. Clearly, you see, it's gender parity. Gender parity has been implemented. So again, asanteni sana, Mr. Tanui and Roselyne Obala for joining us here on KTN News Center this morning, just to talk to us about our new child. Not really new, but yeah, our new child is in town. So you need to get a hold of the Standard newspaper today. We have an in-depth coverage for you with that, a bold story being about that young lady whose kidney was taken during a surgery and she didn't know about it.